Hi everybody, welcome to my live stream. It has been a while. The last time it was February, and I wanted to stream a little more, but I didn't find the time for it, and I finally pushed myself to make time for it. So I'm here. Please let me know if there is something like the music is too loud. Let me turn on the music again, a little bit for the background. Or if you can't hear me hard enough, just tell me and I will do my best to fix it. Like I said in the chat just now, my husband isn't here to help me, but he did explain to me how I need to do everything, so hopefully that will be enough. Well, you might have noticed this is the card we are going to make. I think it's really cute. I always love the little snow globe from Lanfan to make a scene within a bigger scene. So the card has a scene, but the little snow globe has his own scene. I always love to do that. It's so cute to make a little world in the snow globe. So that's what we are going to do. Let me see. I think when I watch on my iPad, I see that everything is a little bit slow, and I'm not really sure how to fix that. Let me see if I can do something about that. Maybe this fixes it. I lowered the quality of my camera a little, but I'm not sure if that did anything. I'm sorry guys, I have to check a little if I can do something about it. Well, let's see how it goes. I closed as much as possible on my computer so it doesn't slow down the video. So let's just see. I hope you can all follow what I'm doing, and I hope you can hear me. And this is an issue we need to look in together with my husband to see how we can improve this. So the sets that I used for this card are on my blog, peterstreasury.com. You can find the blog post there with everything I used for this card. I used for the little bear, I used the freebie set from Lanfan, the Here For You bear. I was really fortunate to find someone on the Facebook group, the Lanfan Addicts, that someone was willing to send me this, because it's really hard and expensive to order from Lanfan directly, because I'm from the Netherlands. But someone had an extra set and was willing to send it to me. So I'm very happy with that. If you don't have that set, you can just use the set with the rainy bears. For one of the smaller, there are 2 bears in that set, and you can use one of them for this scene. So let's put this aside a little. And let's start with some coloring. I already stamped and die cut everything, and I placed everything back in my paper with some tape, so I can easily color it on stream and just had to peel it off when I'm ready to assemble, so you don't have to see me watch me through all that die cutting. So for the coloring I always use my Copic markers, and I love the hex chart. It gives me such a good idea of which colors I have, which colors I want to use, and which colors go together. So I'm setting that to the side off screen so I can look at that. And I have a little note for myself with my favorite colors for the snow globe, for the base. So these are the colors. Let me see, it's this one. Oh, that's a little out of this one. And this one. And let me see, it's this one. So these three are my perfect combination for the base. Let me see in the chat. Hi Marcy. Hi Rosalie. Marcy says, love this L'Enfant set. Yeah, it's a really cute set. You're flying solo, but doing great. Thank you so much. Sound is great. Okay, that's really good to hear. So my husband has a little job when he comes back from his trip to check out the video. We can improve that, but at least the sound is good. Marcy says, bear in a raincoat. So cute. Also, hi Susie. Hi Shay. So let's start the coloring. Let me see on my little notes. I first go in with this one. And I'm doing some strokes on the side. Like this. And then I go in with this one, and I actually use the other nib on it because I can color in a large area at once. And we're going back in later anyway. So that's my first layer. Then I'm adding this one with a few strokes on the side to make it a little darker. Now I'm blending those out with this one. And then I'm blending that out for a little with this one. I like where this is going. And I'm going back in with the darkest one. Then I'm going back in once more with this one to add a few strokes. And I think I'm going back in with the darkest one just a little on the side, not as far in as I did before. Like that. And I saw I went a little bit out of the line, so I'm going to clean it up a little with my blender. Really carefully, because if you do it too much, it bleeds into the colored part. Here a little as well. But I think that looks really good now. Let me read a little in the chat. My husband is here too. I'm in the train, so not a lot of audio, but I want to drop in and say hi. You're doing great by yourself. Ah, thank you. He's such a sweetie. Marcy says he really is, but we miss you too. Well, I will ask him if he is at home and I'm streaming again, if he wants to join me. Because it's also really fun if he's here to help. Carrie. Hi Carrie. She doesn't hear this, but someone says maybe can say hi for me in the chat. Shay says the blending was quick. Thank you for showing us how to blend with 3 colors. Yes, I normally blend with 2 actually, but this one is really nice with 3. It gives me a little bit of a wood feel, which I really like for the snow globe. Let's continue with the rest. Let's see, I want to color the flower now. I'm going to put the card aside for a moment, so I have a little bit more space. So these are my favorite non-white, non-gray, because I don't really think it's gray, colors to color in things I want whitish, like this flower. And I blend that one out with this one. I think I messed up the caps because this is the darker one. So, blending that out. And then I'm going back in once more to enhance those darker strokes. I really love the look of it. It makes it look like something that is white without it being completely white. For the yellow, I'm using a little different color I used on my example card, but that's okay. I always love this combination. It's like a golden yellow. Like so. And let me color in those dandelions also. It really is my favorite golden yellow combination. It's not as bright as as a normal yellow, so it's perfect to tone it down a little. I also love it for beaks from like birds. And I'm going back in with the darker one. To enhance it a little. Like that. Let's see, what's the perfect green for this? I think I'm going with one of my favorites too. It's this one together with, maybe I change it up a little with this one. And I'm doing that for the dandelions, and I'm going for another green for the flower. For the leaves, I'm switching it up. So that's this color. Like this, and then I think I'm going to use this one still, but I'm mixing it with another one of my favorites for green. And I'm going back in with the darker one. And I'm going to blend it out just a little. Like that. I'm putting back some markers. I have to clean up a little in between because my space isn't too big, and otherwise I can't see what I'm doing anymore in later on in the stream. Shay says, Lanfan stamps make the cutest scene cards, but how to color so tiny areas? Yeah, like this small dandelion is really hard to color. It only works with a brush nib like the Chow or the Sketch has. It doesn't work great with classic nibs, but all the normal images like the size of this bear is really easy to color with the markers. Just practice a little and it's perfect. The color for the froggies, let me see. I think this one And I'm going to blend that with this one. So these little frogs are great to color too. They are just a little harder than images that are a tiny bit bigger. But it works out fine, even with my classic nibs. So, those are done already. Maybe a little blush on the cheeks. This is my go-to for adding some blush. Like that. Shay says, phew, good, I just bought first alcohol markers and one side is brush. Yeah, it really is great to color with a brush, but it really is the really tiny stamps. The other stamps are fine with a brush or a nib, a normal nib. It's a point, a bullet point. It's just the really tiny ones that are a bit hard to color. Let's see, the water drops. I like to color those really, really light blue. These are a good one. You can also just use one lighter one and blend it out with a colorless marker, the blender. That works out fine too. And I'm going in with this one again. Let me put these aside for using later. This dandelion, I'm not going to color it further than this because I am going to use the vellum one for that. I already made that. So I stamped this on some vellum and heat embossed it with white. And maybe I'm coloring this little circle. Yes, let me do that. With just a touch of this. But I will be paper piercing those together later on. So that's fine for now. Let me go over to the clouds. I'm using the same two blue markers that I used just now for the puddle, or for the drops. And I stamped these clouds with Memento, I believe it's Summer Sky, which is a light blue, and Memento ink is suitable for coloring with alcohol markers. So you can safely color these images in, and it softens up those cloudy images. So it's great if you stamp them with black too, but I like them a little softer. Like normally I would also stamp the water drops with a blue color and color those in. But because I used the puddle out of the Here For You bears set, which doesn't have any matching die sets yet, so I had to cut those out with my brother's Scan and Cut, and I really just want to cut out black lines with that, so that's why I didn't do that. But normally I would. I think I need to refill this marker. Not really sure if I have the ink already, but it feels a little dry. But it still works for now. And I'm going back in with the darkest one. It's the wrong side. With darkest one, just a little around the edge. Like this. Let me put those aside as well. Susie says, I like those greens for your frogs. Thank you. It's a really nice variation on the different greens on the card. So it makes them pop out a little more. So now I'm going to color these. Let's use the same blues for the clouds from the rainbow. I love the tiny face you can stamp in those clouds. And I'm going back in with my darkest one again, just like I did with the previous clouds. And I'm also going to color the water puddle with this. And now for the bear. One of my favorite browns for critters are these three, because those are really a different brown than a normal chocolate brown. So I really like to use that for critters. I'm still so happy someone had an extra set of this and was able to send that to me. Very kind. And I'm really, really happy with it. He's so adorable. It's a little bit of a big gap between the darkest color I used and this color. So I'm blending out that darker color first before I color everything in. And I'm going back in with the darkest color. Just a tiny edge. And I'm blending that out again. And I'm doing the snout, or how do you call that, with the lighter color. And I'm giving him some blushy cheeks as well. Like that. And I want to color his raincoat purple, like I did in my example. And I believe I used these two for that. No, I think it's the darker one. I think it's these two. I think I'm going back in with my darkest purple. Shay says, I need to go, but will catch replay. Credits are my favorite and beef to learn shading. Thank you. Bye all. Oh, need to learn shading. Well, I was happy you were here, and I see you at the replay, Shay. I think that looks cute. Maybe I'm blending it out just a tiny bit. And for his boots, I want to go with yellow. A different yellow that I used just now for the flowers. This is more of a really golden yellow. Like this, and I think I'm using these for the rainbow as well. The rainbow only has 3 colors you can color in, so I'm mixing up the rainbow order to make it just a cute little rainbow. So I use the yellow one on the middle one. Then I'm picking a blue, a light blue, for the bottom one. Yep. There he is. And I'm going with a green on the last beam. Just have to pick one out that I like. I think this one and this one. A nice bright green. Like that. And I think I want to add some blushy cheeks to the cloud as well. That's really adorable. Now, what I like to do after the coloring, let me put back some markers from my desk, is to trace the inside lines, so the inner lines, with a black fine liner, because after the coloring the lines get a little dull. So it doesn't happen to everyone, it doesn't happen to all the images, like lighter colored images don't have it as much. But the paper I'm using is really has a little bit of a coating on the outside, which makes it really easy to get dull after the coloring. I skipped the lighter areas because it really isn't as noticeable on that. And I don't do all the lines because this is a little bit of a hassle to do. The froggies are fine too. But here with the bear, you might notice when I'm done, when I'm working on him, that it gets a little better with tracing the lines. I want to note that you don't have to trace the lines, you can just skip this. It's just something that I like to do because of the paper I'm using, and I like the look of it when I trace the lines. And I don't always do it with other brands, like Mama Elephant has a little bit of a thinner line on their images, so it's harder to trace, and it also isn't that noticeable that it got dull in the first place. So it depends on my image and the colors I used. And sometimes even if it's something that is hard to trace, like this what I'm doing now is a little harder, and sometimes I just don't feel like doing that, so then I just skip that, but it's good for now. And here with the clouds, I'm not going to do every color of the rainbow, but just the cloudy part on it. So that's it already for this. Now for some white highlights, I use 2 or 3 different pens for that. So I got the Uniball Signo, which is my go-to for white highlights. But I also sometimes use the Sakura Jelly Roll because it's a little bit of a finer point for smaller areas like this tiny dandelion. And I also have this Uniball Signo broad pen, which has a pigment ink which is a little bit brighter than the normal one. So for lighter colored images, it's easier to use the broad version. So for example, with the flower, it gets a little wider with this pen, so it's a little better to see when I do it with this one. So I recently picked this pen up and I really liked it for the lighter areas, like for the cloud too. I'm doing a lot of the highlights on the cloud to make it look extra fluffy. And recently I started doing these little accents on my images. So 3 little dots, just where I feel like I want them. So that are the clouds. I also, I know this is a darker colored image, but because it's a little bigger, I also love to use this pen for this. And maybe some dots too. Be careful that you don't smudge your image with your white gel pen, because it needs a little bit time to dry, and especially the broad pen needs a little more time. Let me see, let me do this one first. So now I'm using my normal Uniball Signo pen. And I noticed that a lot of people have trouble with placing highlights. I don't really have a hard rule for highlights, but I like to go in the roundness of things. So like these leaves are really round, so I like to put the highlights there. And I always like to do a line with a dot to break it up a little. And I can also add some white over here, just in the roundness of that leaf. And that looks really cute. So I'm switching my white pen to the Sakura one, because this is a little of a tinier area. And for the froggies too. Sometimes you have to make a choice which pen to use, because the froggies need a little smaller points because they are so tiny. But they are lighter colors, so I would love to use the broad pen on it, but those are a little bit too thick of a lines to use. Again, for the lighter colored splashes, let's use the broad pen. And I'm using my regular Signo pen to add a few dots to the froggies. And I want some dots here too. So, oh, I skipped this one. Let's put these aside for a moment and continue with the highlights on the bear. Marcy says, I need to practice more with highlights. Always love you how you add them. They really make the image pop. Thanks, Marcy. It's indeed a little bit of a practice where they look good. Just go with how you feel they would look good, and you will get better at it. And try to do the roundness thing I'm doing. And for the puddle and the clouds, I'm using the broad pen again. And taking my black fine liner again to make the face of the clouds a little more clear. So that's it for coloring my images. So like I said, I already die cut these. So I'm taking them off carefully. I made the purple tape a little less sticky already, but it's always good to take them off with a little care. And you can easily reuse this purple tape. That's that, and let's pop those clouds out. So that's that. Now we have to do a little die cutting for the globe. I will put my markers aside because I won't be using them. What I did, you can buy the shaker add-on dies for the snow globe. So you will get this one in it and this one and some few other dies, but you can use this one to cut out the globe, and you will see that it will have a little bit of a thicker border, so you can easily make a shaker out of it. But I don't want to make a shaker out of it, and I want a really thin line on the inside, like in my example, so the inside has the same whiteness as the outside, so the little white border around the images is the same. And I did that with this die, the background die. So I'm placing that onto my colored snow globe, taking some tape, and And now I'm aligning it with the inside of my globe. So I take it to my die cutting machine, which is on my desk, so my arm might be in your face. So as you can see, you have a really neatly die cut snow globe. And the outside is just cut with the normal die that you can find in the matching die sets. So that's that. Let's take a little dish where I can put these images in. And then I will continue with making the rest of my globe. So I'm putting this aside. I already took some white cardstock that's suitable for ink blending. This is from Crafter's Companion, the white stamping card. And I used the same die that I cut out the snow globe with. So this matches up perfectly. So this is going to be my sky. So I'm using my this is a metal thingy with some magnets to keep things in place, but I also use it to ink blend on my video. Normally I have the glass work surface from Tim Holtz, but that really reflects with the light on video, so I'm using this one. It also reflects a little bit, but way less than the glass one. And I'm using the Cloudy Sky Stencil from Lanfan, and I'm actually using it upside down because it will enhance the rainy sky. So for happy clouds we'll be using it like this, and for the rainy clouds you can use it like this. And I'm doing this with a blending brush, and I'm using Distress Oxide Shaded Lilac. And since I have my magnets, I can do this. I like using a blending brush for using with my stencils because blending brushes take up a little less ink, so you won't blend out too much ink at once on your paper. Also, it gives you a little more control. I think my blending brush was still a little gray from another color. I always wash my blending brushes, but I think I didn't do a great job with this one. But since it's a rainy sky, we just go with it. Let me turn the stencil and find another angle we can use. This is a little more purple already, so that might even look really cool. That farther up in the globe it's a little gray, and more down it's a little more purple. So it's a happy accident, like Bob Ross would say. Let me me see. I want to add some extra clouds here. Let me find a good angle. I want to make it a little more cloudy. That looks really cool. So I'm putting this aside. And then I'm going to blend at the top a little, because it's really white now, and I want to make it look like a cloudy sky, so gray and purplish. So this softens up a little. Let me check with my globe. I think this is alright. We're going to place a grassy border here, so we don't have to blend down all the way to the bottom of it. Now I'm going to continue with the raindrops. As you can see on my example card, I used some stencil paste to make some raindrops, which is really cool. I didn't have any stencil paste before, but when I saw it in that release, I just needed it for the raindrops, and I recently even bought some glow-in-the-dark paste because I really love that too for some stars. So this is the Rainy Sky stencil from Lanfon 2. And I'm going to use my magnets to secure it. So this is the clear paste from Lanfon. And you have to work quite quick so it doesn't dry up already on your stencil. I'm using a little spatula for this. I'm taking some, I'm holding down my paper. And when every raindrop has a little bit of paste, I'm scraping it really well to take off all the excess, which you can just put back in the jar. But it also makes really smooth looking drops on your background. Now you have to clean your supplies immediately, otherwise you will ruin your stencil. So I'm not going to really clean that just now, but I will throw it in some water I set aside here. So I really put it right away in some water so I can clean it later. So we have to put this aside for a moment so it can dry, but it looks really cute already. So I will clean my surface as well. And I continue with blending my background. So I used the biggest die from the large text rectangle stackables. It's quite a mouthful. and the smaller one in that set, so I can layer these two together on my card. So this will be my background, and it's die cutted out of the same paper I used for the background of the snow globe. I don't need the magnets for this. And I'm doing the bottom with picked raspberry, and I'm going to blend the top with squeezed lemonade, and in the middle it will become a little bit of an orange mix. And I'm using my blender tools for this one. They take up a little more ink and it's easier to blend a whole background with it. So I'm blending that to about the middle of the paper, center, and then I'm blending the bottom really well. It will be covered up with some grass, but I want to really have a solid color on it, like here. So this will be covered, but here I want a really solid color. So from the bottom to that area I can blend it out. And I'm blending it out in the center just a little. And then I'm taking my other color, which is squeezed lemonade. And I'm using a scrap piece of paper, so I don't mess up the ink I already have there. And I'm blending that down from the top to that pink that I already blended in the center. And as you might notice, that already becomes a little bit of an orange color. So I'm taking some new ink and I'm going back from the top to the middle. And then I'm turning my paper again, covering the other side, and doing some pink again. I picked up a little ink, not too much, because I want to lightly blend it out. Then I'm turning it again, and without taking any new yellow ink, I'm blending out that line of orange. And that makes a really nice gradient. So my scrap piece of paper, I can go back, and my distress oxides. Now I want to get some paper towel, because I'm going to splatter with some water. Let me look at the chat for a moment. Hi Danielle, I almost missed your live. Well, luckily you're here. I'm still busy working on my card. Marcy says, love these ink colors, perfect for spring and summer. Yes, it's a really nice, happy combination, I feel. I use my distress sprayer bottle for the water drops on my background, because it's really easy to use. You can make some bigger, some medium, and some smaller drops. And then I dab off those water drops. and that makes a really cool background. You can also do some ink splatters on this if you want to, but I felt this would be enough for this card. So that was all the ink blending, so I'm putting aside this thing. And I'm putting this to the side so it can dry. Then I can make the cross for both the snow globe and the background. So I already picked 2 green colored pieces of cardstock, which I already prepared a little because I used the same die that I die cutted this panel with to die cut a piece with out of the green cardstock, the darkest green, and I'm using lighter green, which I already die cutted the same base as the snow globe thing with, also partially because I will only need some at the top. And I'm going to put this next to each other so I can see where to place my dice. So I have 2 dice for this. One is the grassy border from Lanfan and one is a hillside border from Lanfan. This has 3 different variations on this, so this is the less hilly one. Is that a word, hilly? And I'm going to check where I want to cut this. I think somewhere there. Now I'm checking with the grid on my craft mat. If it's a little straight. I'm going to do that in my cutting machine, die cutting machine, in a moment, and then I'm checking with this, and I'm using my snow globe to check. Yeah, this is fine. So I'm going to put it right at the top of that piece of cardstock, using my grid lines again. I will put it on my plates like this, so it will cut easily. Maybe my arm is in the face again. I'm sorry for that, but that's just how my setup is right now. I'm working at a rather small desk. So that's the grass for the snow globe. I used a little different color cardstock than on my example. That's totally okay to do so, I think. But I wanted to notify you about that. This didn't cut through all the way, so I'm placing my die back. And I'm using a little extra paper, just a scrap piece of paper I have lying around for these kind of things. So it gives a little more pressure. Marcy says, I think it's a word. I use the word hilly. That's good to know. This is way better. let's assemble the snow globe. So I'm putting aside the background and the grass. So this will go together like this. It maybe is a little higher up than in my example, but that's okay. I'm not a machine, it's a handmade card. Let me put the glue on the back of the snow globe frame. And I use liquid glue so I can easily push it in the right spot. And now I can glue it to the background, which is already really dry. So that really goes fast when you use a thin layer of the stenciling paste. So I'm lining these up again. I try to not push it down too much at the at this edge, because you will press the paper from the hill into the paper of the frame, and you'll get a little crease. I want to prevent that. And I think we can also add the bear and the puddle to it already. So finish up the whole globe. What I normally like to do as well is placing images in the edge. So like you can put the bear behind this, like this, so this will fall over the ear of the bear, so it will look like he really is in the snow globe. But for this scene it's so small and just so cute if he's just in the middle. But if it's a little busier scene you're making in the snow globe, it's a really good idea to do that and just cut off the excess that's sticking out, and it will really look like there's a little scene in the snow globe. I think you can find some examples on my YouTube videos already or on my Instagram. So if you want some examples, go check that out. I'm only putting some glue on the bottom of the bear. So he will pop off the background. I don't know if you notice it on the video, but it pops off a little, which adds a little dimension to the card. And if I had put some glue here, you will stick him down all the way and it will give less dimension. So that's our little scene in the snow globe, which is really, really cute. So let me put that aside and let me check out the chat. Danielle says, I recently got myself the new Hero Art compact cutter and I totally love it. Marcy says, sometimes it's nice to use a small cutter and not have to haul out the big 12 by 12. How big is the smaller cutter, Danielle? The plates are 3 inches wide and 8.5 long. Yeah, that's a really cute, smaller die cutting machine. The sky is gorgeous. Thank you. I really like those colors together. I might want to buy a little softer pink. I only have one lipstick for a softer one. But I really like these color combos. I used it quite a lot already. Marcy says, such a cute snow globe. Thank you, Marcy. I love how you place the bottle right below his raised foot like he's about to step in it. Yeah, that's really my idea behind it. Like the water drops here, like he just stamped into it. So for the background, I can already glue down my grass. I don't bother to put glue on all those little grassy parts. It will only add some dimension if I don't do it. And the biggest part will be covered with the snow globe anyway. So that's that. And now we can almost assemble the scene. But first I have to do a little paper piercing like I promised. So I have this dandelion. And I have the same one on vellum with white embossed lines. And now I'm going to paper pierce those together. So I can cut out the whole piece, but I also can do something like this. Because it's a little bit less of a hassle. Because it's such a small area to cut. Let me see how that looks. That looks fine. I'm going with this. It's also easier to glue it down like this. Because of the vellum and the embossed lines, I really press it down and hold it down for a minute. Well, maybe not a minute, but at least a few seconds, so the glue really dries well. Danielle says, Cage Flamingo is a really nice lighter ink. Yeah, I have that one on my wish list together with salted taffy and spun sugar. So I might order that one of them or maybe two of them real soon, because I'm really missing a lighter color. And I think the Cage Flamingo also goes really well with the picked raspberry, if I recall that correctly from the examples I saw. Marcy says, oh, for really pale pink, spin sugar might be an option. Love Kitsch Flamingo. Yeah, spun sugar is on my wish list as well. Marcy says, such precise cutting. Not sure I could master that, but I love how it came out. Well, I'm not that great at cutting too, because it really is bad for my thumbs. I have some thumb problems, and I don't do it that much because it really gives me a lot of pain. But such a small area I can do, and it's not that hard to do it. You can also just use the regular image or use the white embossed thing like decoration on your card. You don't have to paper pierce the stem to it. I can now assemble my cards. So I already made a top fold craft paper card base. I really like using craft paper. I think it's, first of all, beautiful. I love craft paper, and I think it's a little more special compared to white. I don't say if you use white that it's not a special card, but just for me, I like it better when it's on craft paper. So I'm using my ATG. And I just die cut it with the largest stitched rectangle striped pattern paper. You could also make this with the skinny striped stencil from Lanfon if you wish. So that's that. And now I can glue on my background with the cross. I'm turning it over because I'm using some foam tape. I'm using a really thin foam tape just to add a little dimension and not make my card too bulky. And I'm using this awesome non-stick scissors from Westcott. I found this one online, and because it has a non-stick coating on it, you can cut the thin foam tape with such ease. It really is great. I think it's my best investment in craft supplies ever. So I'm pulling off the backings. Marcy says craft is a nice contrast too. Yeah, I think that's it for me. That I just like it when it's not white. Like for example, for Halloween cards, I always do purple or black card bases. I'm using a bit of fabric to make the foam tape less sticky. I normally use my sleeve of my shirt or my vest, but I have a t-shirt on right now with short sleeves, so that isn't possible. But this takes away a little bit of the tackiness, which makes it easier to eyeball where you have to adhere your background without sticking down right away, and when it sticks down you can't pull it apart anymore without ripping things. So I recently discovered that doing that helps a lot. my snow globe. And here are the rest of my images. So I'm first laying things down for a bit. I can glue these together already. Let me see where I have my tweezers. I love when things stick out a little, so when it's out of the frame, because it really adds some interest to the card. From the Here For You Bear stamp set, I already made these sentiment banners. And the other way around. When it rains, I'm here for you. On my example card I used when it rains, look for rainbows. These are both sentiments that you can find in that stamp set. But you can also use another sentiment that you like on this. I heat embossed it with white embossing powder. On black cardstock, as you can see. I think something like this, maybe a little bit to the left. Yeah, I think this is okay. So I'm taking everything off, except for that cloud. And I'm lifting that up, put a little glue behind it, and I'm pushing it down. And I think I'm going to use some tin foam tape on the sentiment strips as well. Oh yeah, I see that my husband is in the chat again. I heard him coming back home. He says, and just got back home in time to see the finished results. My husband is a big supporter of my cards and of my crafts. I always go to him when I finish the card to show him what I made, and he's always really supportive. He always likes what I made. Also thinks Lanvin is the cutest stamp company out there. Although he also likes the clearly besoldered images. Carrie says, that's a good idea. I never remember craft paper. Yeah, it's really fun way to make your card a little more special. Natasha says, so cute, Peter. Thanks. So I'm attaching the sentiment strips. I'm going to add this cloud with a little bit of foam tape as well. And now I can glue my snow globe to the scene. I only add glue to the bottom, like the same issue as with the bear. I don't want it pressed down, but I want to add some dimension, and this is a really good way to do that. Placing my flowers back. I'm gluing down the dandelion first. I have to hold that down for a second because of the vellum. Gary says, that's brave. What do you think it's brave, Gary? And let me see. Well, I want to glue this. I think that's a good spot. No, I'm going to wipe away this glue. I only want to add some glue to the top. Let me see. A little bit of glue here, a little bit here, and that's enough. Natasha says, I really like Stacy Yakula stamps from My Favorite Things too, and Purple Onion designs. Yeah, there are a lot of cute stamp designs out there, but Lanfan is just my favorite. And I also like Clearly Be Solid. Also really cute. Mama Elephant's really cute. And unfortunately they don't exist anymore, but Hello Sweetums are really cute stamps too. Yeah, for the jumping frog, I'm using a bit of foam tape, a double layer actually, because he needs to pop over that snow globe. And I'm also adding a tiny bit of glue to the globe. And this tiny little froggy goes at the bottom. slowly adding some glue to his head. Now my card is almost finished. I have a few of these water droplets embellishments, which are really awesome for this card. And I glue those down with glossy accents. And I always have to use a needle for this, because it always clogs up a little. And I want a bigger one here. I'm placing a little bit of glossy accents, and then I place my drop, and then I push it down till I see that the whole surface is covered. So when it dries, you don't notice the glossy accents. A little bit of glossy accents there. Like this. And we're going to place one here. It's a little bit of white space there. Pressing it down. And the smallest drop I'm going to do here, which is a little bit hard to place, but I did it in one try. So that only needs to dry a little, but my card is finished. Let me take the original one. As you can see, it's a little different. I used a different colored cardstock, but it's just as cute. And with the different sentiments, it's really cute too. So I'm really happy how this card design turned out. Let me look at the chat for a moment. I love Mama Elephant too. I love Mama Elephant and Hello Bluebird are adorable. Yeah, Hello Bluebird is super adorable, but it only is available in the USA, and ordering it from the Netherlands where I live, it's a really expensive thing to do. So I don't have too much Hello Bluebird. I have a few sets, but not too much. I'm hoping someday in the future they will have a way to send it to Europe more cheaply, or maybe a reseller in Europe. Natasha says, I have a super cute Christmas set from Avery L. Yes, I have one too from Avery L with nutcrackers. It's my only Avery L set I have, but it's really, really cute. Carrie says, Peter, what liquid glue do you use? I use a tacky glue, and it's a really cheap one from the dollar store, but it works fine for me. I have the most Lanvin, though they are my favorite. Yeah, most of my stamps are Lanvin too. I think like 90% of it is Lanvin, and the rest is Mama Elephant, a little bit of my favorite things, some Hello Sweetums, and Clearly Besotted. Norma says, thank you for sharing your talent with us, Peter. I really enjoyed your life. Thank you so much, Norma, for being here and for your compliments. Marcy says, these are just adorable, Peter. Thank you. Carrie says, yay, it's amazing. Thank you so much. Danielle says, so cute, thank you. Kay says, it's a pain in the neck from Germany too. Yeah, it really is. Lawnfawn is thankfully easily to source in Europe as they have super cute critters. Yes, it's when I started out with card making a few years back, it was a little bit harder to get Lawnfawn over here, but fortunately it really went uphill for that. Kelly says, super adorable cards. I love the white embossed lettering on the black. Thank you. I really like the white embossed lettering too. I don't always feel like doing it because I don't like to cut the tiny strips and the heat embossing, but yeah, I really like the outcome, so normally I push through it. Marcy says, yes, I think Hello Bluebird only ships from their own company, so that would make it hard to ship worldwide. Yeah, it's really really expensive to get it here. The shipping costs are really high, and you also have to pay for the import of the stamps, so that can really be expensive to do. My husband says, such a cute card, very proud of you. Thank you so much, honey, I love you. Kay says, thank you, Peter, for sharing your talent. Thank you so much. You guys making me blush. Marcy says, yes, I agree, really enjoyed this live, Peter. Gary says, yes, thank you. Well, thank you guys for being here, for watching me, for listening to me, for crafting together with me maybe. If you are going to attempt this card or something inspired by it, please share it with me. I'd love to see it. And I think that's it for now. If there aren't any questions left or things you want to say, I think it's time to wrap up the live. I will try and look into the camera quality with my husband. I don't know if it's fixable. It might be that my computer is just too old to handle all of the live things, but I will look into it with him to see if we can fix it to make it a little better. And I really enjoyed going live, and I had my husband with my other lives to help me with the chat, but I really think it went great today to do it by myself. If he has the time and if he wants to, he can help me, which is really fun too, but I think I managed. So I'm looking forward to do another live, but I have to fix the issues first. But keep an eye on my social media channels, on the groups on Facebook, like the Lawnfawn X group, and I will post there if I go live again. And also on my Instagram stories, you will see. Marcy says, thank you for sharing your time and creativity with us. Thank you, Marcy. Natasha said, I love how you did the dandelion with the white embossing on vellum. Yeah, thank you, Natasha. Let me pick the card where I did that for the first time. I have it here. I used it on this card. I wanted to make it a little more special. And I suddenly thought about doing the dandelions on vellum. I think it's really cute for these as well. And I had one left, so I used that for the design of this card I made today, because I really like how that looks. Carrie says, thank you, have a good evening. Thank you, Carrie. Have a nice day. Have a wonderful evening off to Eurovision. Thanks, Kay. Have fun with Eurovision. Me too, Natasha. Makes it look really realistic. Thank you, Marcy. You did great. Are we all watching Eurovision now? I might go and watch some Eurovision. I don't know yet. Kelly says, it was great. Thank you. Sophie says, so excited to watch it. Thank you so much. Natasha says, yeah, I saw that. I really loved that one, and I saw that in our group. Thank you, Natasha. Marcy says, oh, the card is so cute. Yeah, I really love it myself too. I think it turned out really, really cute. I also love the slimline size for scenes like this. It's really adorable. Well, I think that's it. I'm going to see how I need to end the stream. Let me see. So, thank you guys, and I will be back. I don't know when. I have to fix my issues first with the video, but I will be there. Thank you so much for joining me, and I see you next time. Bye bye.